When you picture a roof, you probably think of that classic triangle shape, right? Well, let's forget that for a second. Today, we're talking about something sleeker, way more practical, an option that's literally changing modern homes from the top down. So let's dive right into our complete guide on flat roofs. So, are you thinking about a new roof? Maybe you're building from scratch, or maybe you're just, curious about what's out there in modern design. Either way, you've landed in the right spot. We are going to break down absolutely everything you need to know about this really popular architectural choice. See, a flat roof is so much more than just, well, a roof. It's not just about keeping the rain out. It's about unlocking a whole new level of potential for your home. I mean, just imagine it. A rooftop garden, a private deck with an amazing view, or the perfect spot for solar panels. It's a statement, right? It says your home is just as functional as it is stylish. All right, first things first. What exactly is a flat roof? Because, the name is a little misleading. It's a bit more nuanced than you'd think. Let's get into the nitty-gritty, the technical stuff, and what actually makes these things work. Okay, so here's the big secret about flat roofs. They're not actually flat. Nope, they have a very slight slope, usually less than 10 degrees. And that's absolutely crucial for drainage. This low-profile design is what gives you that super clean, minimalist look. And more importantly, it's what unlocks all that valuable living space we were just talking about. But of course, like with anything in life, there are trade-offs. No architectural choice is perfect. So to really make a smart decision, you gotta see both sides of the coin. Let's dig into the pros and, yeah, the cons. And really, the pros and cons here are kind of two sides of the same coin. On the one hand, hey, you get a more affordable installation, that incredible extra living space, and it's way easier to get up there for maintenance. But the flip side is that low slope. That makes drainage the #1 absolute priority. And that means two things. Professional installation is totally non-negotiable, and you have to stay on top of regular maintenance. That's the key to making it last. Okay, so let's say you're sold. A flat roof is for you. Now comes the next big decision. What material are you going to use? Think of this next part as kind of like a menu, where we'll go through all the most common and effective options out there. First up, we've got the classic, built-up roofing, or BUR for short. This is the real old-school hot tar and gravel system. It is incredibly tough and fantastic for waterproofing. That's exactly why you see it on so many huge commercial buildings where, durability is everything. Next on the list is something called modified bitumen. You can basically think of this as the modern, souped-up version of BUR. It's still asphalt-based, but they add these plastic or rubber modifiers that make it flexible. And that flexibility, that's a huge deal for houses because it means the roof can handle big temperature swings without cracking. Plus, it holds up really well against the sun's UV rays. All right, now let's talk about the heavy hitters, the most popular modern options out there today, single-ply membranes. Just like the name says, these are big sheets that get applied in a single layer. You've got three main types: EPDM, which is basically a tough rubber, TPO, which is awesome for energy efficiency, and PVC, which is super chemical resistant. Each one has its own special thing it's good at. Okay, so this table really breaks it all down for you. You can see right away how materials like TPO and PVC are rock stars when it comes to energy efficiency, which, by the way, can save you real money on your cooling bills. On the other hand, something like EPDM or even the old school BUR, they offer amazing durability for the price point. So what it really comes down to is you balancing your budget with your long-term goals for performance and, of course, those energy savings. All right, you've looked at the menu, you've picked your materials, so what's next? Now we get into the really practical side of things. We're talking installation, maintenance, and of course, the big one, what's it all gonna cost? Look, a professional installation isn't just slapping something on the roof. It's a really precise, multi-step process. It always starts with a super thorough assessment and getting that roof deck perfectly prepared. Then comes the most critical part, laying down that waterproof layer, and it has to be flawless. Finally, every single edge, every corner, every flashing is sealed up tight to make sure you have a completely watertight finish. Okay, let's talk numbers. The big question, how much does it cost? For full professional installation, you're usually looking at somewhere in the range of $8,000 to $18,000. Now, obviously, that's going to vary based on the size of your roof and which material you pick, but it gives you a really solid ballpark to start with. And what happens if something goes wrong? What about repairs? Well, if you spot a leak or any damage, the key is to act fast. Don't wait. A typical repair can run you anywhere from $400 to maybe $1,500. And believe me, taking care of a small issue early is way, way better than letting it turn into a huge, expensive structural problem later on.
So the big takeaway here is really simple. Maintenance isn't optional, it's essential. If you want to protect your investment and dodge those costly repairs, you need a plan. And the recommendation is super straightforward. Get a pro to inspect it twice a year. You definitely want to do this before winter hits so they can clear out the drains and catch any little problems before they become big ones.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground, right? We've talked about what a flat roof is, why you might want one, and how much it costs. Now it's time to pull it all together and help you answer that final, ultimate question. Is a flat roof actually the right choice for you and your home? So let's do a quick recap of the absolute essentials. Number 1, flat roofs are way more than just a pretty face. They give you that awesome, usable space. Number 2, the material you choose makes a huge difference, especially for energy efficiency. Number 3, I repeat, do not cut corners on installation. It has to be done by a pro to get that drainage right. And finally, number 4, that twice-a-year maintenance checkup, that is your ticket to a long, healthy roof life. And that brings us right back to where we started. It's not just a roof, right? It's a blank canvas. Now that you get the materials, the costs, and the care involved, the only question left is, well, it's a creative one. What would you do with all that rooftop space? A garden? A private lounge? The sky is, quite literally, the limit.